Spain. My friend Bob owns a fleet of cars that includes a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and several Porsches. He always purchases the top-spec version, because like Spinal Tap's Nigel Tufnell, he likes the ones that go to 11. For example, Bob would never buy a 911 GT3 RS because the GT2 RS has more power. For Bob, buying the 2018 Aston Martin DB11 V8, Gaydon's first Grand Tourer with fewer than 12 cylinders in nearly 20 years, would be an act of blasphemy. Normally, we'd agree. But in this case, we'd argue that Bob should think about dialing it back to 8. The new 8-cylinder Aston is a product of the brand's partnership with Mercedes-Benz, which started to bear fruit when elements of the German company's electronic architecture made its way into the DB11. Now, the 4.0-liter twin-turbo V8 that powers the Mercedes-AMG C63S, among others, becomes the first Benz engine to find its way under the hood of an Aston. Mind you, Aston didn't simply drop a stock AMG engine under the DB11's aluminum clamshell hood. The Brits fiddled with the mill to inject a character more befitting of tea and cucumber sandwiches than sausage and sauerkraut. When the team dialed in the sound for the DB11 V8, they really looked at the sound waves, said an Aston Martin representative. The types of frequencies that come through AMG products exhaust are very low. We wanted to remove quite a bit of that and concentrate on the mid to high frequencies. We sound mapped both systems to make sure the Aston had a unique sound alongside the AMG version. Bespoke parts added by Aston to the V8 include the air intake, exhaust, and wet sump oil pan. The ECU is also reprogrammed. The actual ECU hardware is the same, but the tune and software are different, added Ben Husband, Aston's senior manager of powertrains. It's about how we can get the character out of the V8 to fit our car, from throttle progression to sound. It's also integrating all into the vehicle, especially the gearbox, which is the same 8-speed ZF automatic found in the V12-powered version of the DB11. The more compact V8, along with its smaller cooling system, helps shave an impressive 253 pounds off of the DB11's curb weight. Additionally, mass is shifted rearward, flip-flopping weight distribution from 5,149 front to rear to 4,951. Chief Engineer Matt Becker used this as an opportunity to tweak the DB11's chassis. In addition to spring, damper, and sway bar changes, the rear subframe carries stiffer bushings and the engine mounts were changed to match, Becker said. We also changed the front brake pistons for shorter pedal travel, so it works as a cohesive package. The idea of the DB11 V8 is to inject an added degree of sportiness to Aston's 2+2 GT. It's clear Gaydon nailed that goal within the first mile behind the wheel in northeast Spain. The steering carries more weight and the sprightlier DB11 V8 changes directions far quicker than its V12-powered sibling, while eager is the perfect descriptor for the Aston tweaked V8. It offers gobs of power everywhere and requires fewer revs than the V12 to extract maximum grunt. Its 503 horsepower peak comes at 6,000 revolutions per minute versus 6,500 revolutions per minute for the 600 horsepower V12. Despite the 97 horsepower deficit, the DB11 V8 is only a tenth of a second behind the V12 in the sprint from 0 to 62 miles per hour 4.0 versus 3.9. One key is that the V8 is down a mere 18 lb-ft of torque, offering 498 lb-ft between 2,000 and 5,000 revolutions per minute versus the 516 lb-ft of the V12, while having just 3,880 pounds of car to move instead of nearly 4,200 pounds. Add in the nimbler chassis, and it's only acceleration at triple-digit speeds where the 12 outshines the 8. Some buyers will undoubtedly have concerns about the engine note that comes along with dropping 4 cylinders despite Aston's hard work, as V12s usually sound glorious. One advantage for the DB11 V8 is that when Aston fitted a pair of turbochargers to the V12 for the DB11, it lost a bit of the raw sonic brilliance of its naturally aspirated predecessor. You really need to rev the V12 and the DB11 for your ears to tingle. Not so with the V8, orally, it's a classy but extroverted beast from the first stab of the throttle, especially in the most aggressive Sport Plus mode. The Mercedes-AMG engine works great with the fresh Lehant chassis. The DB11 V8 feels much smaller and tidier on the road compared to its more powerful, and $13,000 more expensive, big brother. The transmission is also happier hitched to the V8, though it's still not the fastest or smoothest cogswapper on the market. There's no doubt the DB11 V8 is still a proper GT car and not a hardcore sports car. A new Vantage arrives in 2018 to carry the torch for Aston. Flying down the smooth, Spanish autopistas through gentle curves, picturesque hills, and exhaust-echoing tunnels at 130+ miles per hour reveal that the DB11 V8 gives up none of the V12 DB11's mile-munching, grand touring ability. Body control is spot on, especially in the middle sport setting of the three-way adjustable suspension. However, the energetic V8 can't fix certain quirks inherent to the DB11. Its bulky pillars and side view mirrors compromise outward visibility by blocking the front three-quarter view. The styling of the DB11 may not be quite as easy to fall in love with compared to the narteamless DB9, but the new car's extroverted, stunning design was bound to bring along some visionary concessions. Inside, the seat controls, door handles, power center armrest, and slider audio volume control all seem like cheeky details that nobody asked for. They come off as a case of Aston designers simply showing off. Sure, the features give the DB11 a unique feel, but at what ergonomic expense? There are also shortcomings when it comes to functionality and attention to detail. Cabin storage is extremely sparse, the lack of a glove box is particularly frustrating. The DB11 V8's shift paddles carry a welcomed shorter throw compared to the V12 version, but they still don't engage with a tactile feel befitting of the segment. Additionally, the ventilated seats are weak and there are cheap-feeling details in certain areas like the folding cup holders and storage compartments in the trunk. Minor detail grievances aside, Aston Martin has done an excellent job overall with the DB11 V8. The coupe has been fine-tuned into a more cohesive, focused package with little to no dilution to the model's impressive GT nature. Sure, the DB11 is technically quicker, but the DB11 V8 is the better car 90% of the time. While a buyer like Bob will always go for the best read, most expensive version, he doesn't know what he's missing by always turning the knob to 11. 2018 Aston Martin DB11 V8 specifications on sale now priced $201,820 base engine 4.0 liters twin-turbo 32-valve V8 503 HP at 6,000 revolutions per minute, 498 lb-ft at 2,005000 revolutions per minute transmission 8-speed automatic layout 2-door, 4-passenger, front engine. RWD Coupe EPA mileage na LXWXH 187.0 by 76.7 by 50.7 and wheelbase 110.4 and weight 3,880 pounds 060 miles per hour 4.0 seconds top speed 187 miles per hour show more.